Bonsoir tout le monde.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. It's a special meeting for June 24th. As always, at the start of the meeting, I'd like to say that we are gathered on the unceded traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq people, whose ancestors tried a treaty of peace and friendship with the British Crown in the 1700s.
That can be divisive, and although we may have a difference of opinion around council table, with some who leans towards Montreal, other towards Toronto or Boston, I have two words tonight: go Oilers. Anyway. Donc, Monsieur Greffier, on peut constater qu'on a le quorum pour ce soir.
Mr. Clerk, we can see we have quorum tonight. Everyone's here. Only one person is here virtually. Good evening, Councillor Cormier. Are there any conflicts of interest to declare? Are there any members of the council who would like to declare a conflict of interest to any item on the agenda? Not seeing anything. Thank you. The last to arrive picks up the tab. So number 4, you have before you the agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda, moved by Councillor Joël Després, seconded by Councillor Janice Cormier. Any questions? Otherwise, all those in favor shall say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carried. There's 4 items, points on the agenda today, except for the regular things in terms of motions and resolutions. First of all, awarding of the contract for the new fire station. Bob will presenting this. CAO is pointing to him. Thank you for being here on the night of the Stanley Cup final. The fire station. I think we're all very familiar with this file. We recently closed the call RFP, and we received 4 submissions, 4 quotes. The lowest bid was Bay Construction and Management, and the figure is within the budget that we have set aside for this project. So staff recommends that we go forward and grant the contract to the lowest bidder and start to build for real. Do you want to read the second point, or while you have the mic, Bob? For 5.2? Well, yes. So it's to award the contract. We'll also be awarding the contract for the ladder truck. The bid called RFP closed a while ago, about a month and a half. There was a technical review to do there in terms of the points for the technical points for the truck we were looking to buy. That process was completed with the members of the committee. Some of them are sitting behind me right now. I was also on the committee. With all of the process completed, we have a recommendation to go with the bidder with the highest score. They're a little bit above the budget. We put a little note that the balance of the shortfall will come from the Capital Reserve Fund. Thank you. One goes with the other. We wouldn't be enlarging the fire hall if we weren't buying a new truck. Councillor O'Brien, would you like to read 5.1? Yes, Your Worship, my great pleasure. Be it resolved to award the contract for addition and renovation of the fire station to Bay Construction and Management, Inc. in the amount of $8,604,715.03, net HST included. Funds will come from General Capital Projects Lending Commission. I so move, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Emile O'Brien, seconded by Councillor Patricia Burke-Chevary. Any questions? Councillor Paul Boudreau. Can I ask my question after the vote, or should I ask it now? You can ask the question after there's a resolution that has been moved and seconded. Well, I fully support this motion, but I do have a few questions. Could I ask the chief or Bob, please? Yes, Bob. What is the timeline? If you can present it, can you present the timeline? When are we starting work? When are we foreseeing starting this? The contract will be granted tomorrow morning, first of all. And from that point, we would really see the timeline, the detailed timeline. We would get this from the bidder, from the contractor. But I had a preliminary meeting with the lowest bidder, just to give you a little more information. They indicated that their objective is to have construction pretty much done in the fall of 2025 for the building. It's encouraging. And in terms of the truck, the ladder truck, that's 2.5 to 3 years, that's still the case, actually. For the fire hall, who will be the project manager? Internally within the town? Well, it would basically be me. There's a few steps, but the general contractor that will be handling the project, they will have their own project manager who will be helping us as well. And we have our architects, the design architects that will be part of that as well. So it's not on our shoulders. We don't manage everything. A question to Donald. What kind of strategy will you have during construction? How will you continue to operate? Will there be major changes that you can foresee during construction? Donald, if you can come for translation, please, forward. And also Councillor Cormier, who's remotely, he won't hear you. I think that they'll be working on, then they'll change the trucks over to the old side. So it shouldn't bother up things. I congratulate you. I congratulate all of the committee members and all the staff. Thank you. That's all, Your Worship. Thank you, Councillor Boudreau. No more questions? We've been talking about this project for a long time, so that's good. With that, unless the Councillor Cormier, I didn't really look if you had any questions. No questions. I support this project 120%. Great. So all those in favor shall say aye. Contrary minded, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. So 5.2, the awarding of a contract for the ladder truck. I think it was Councillor Emil O'Brien who's going to read that one. Yes, therefore be it resolved to award contract TS 24-Q06 for the purchase of a ladder truck to the only bidder with the highest score in the evaluation system, Safety Fire Source Incorporated, in the amount of $2,624,590.80, net HST included. Funds will come from the capital projects, equipment, TP account, budgeted at $2.5 million. The balance of the shortfall will come from the Capital Reserve Fund. I so move, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Emile O'Brien, seconded by Councillor Patricia Chevalier. Any questions? Bob, do you have anything to add? I would just make a small comment. There's a little typo. It's not the only bidder. There were two bidders. That's a small mistake in the way that we'll make the change in the minutes, but you will understood. Mr. CAO, just a little few details here about why we suggest going to the Capital Reserve Fund. Basically, the fire hall was a bit below the budget approved by the Commission. The ladder truck is a bit higher than what was recommended by the Commission, but with the both combined, we're still within the budget. but the commission treated it as two separate projects. So to try to adjust one, we'd have to go back to the commission. It's a pretty laborious process. That's why for the small difference given on the ladder truck, we thought it would be easier to go into the reserve fund. But ultimately, in terms of total debt for both projects, it's no more than what was budgeted when we went before the commission. Mr. Clerk put up the corrected version of the motion. Yes? Roland, do you have a question? Councillor Cormier? I don't see on the screen. Thank you, Your Worship. I would presume that it's a 10-year loan, or is it 15? I have to go through my emails. One is for 15. We're going to find this. Thank you. And the service life of the truck is how long? The service life of the truck. Mr. Fire Chief, the minimum about 20 years. You can always stretch it out a few years, but a minimum would be about 20 years. Perfect. Great. The point that I wanted to make is to the citizens, if it's a 10-year project, in reality, it's only $125,000 a year. It's not really 2.5 million. If it's 125,000 actually over 20 years. Is a ladder truck over 15 years? And the fire hall is 20 years. And the building is 20 years. Thank you. You were quicker than me. Thank you. Councillor Paul Boudreau. How does it work to pay it back? He said we'll get delivery in 2 or 3 years. Carole, Donald, or Julien, or do we start paying it off now, before delivery? How does it work? Inaudible. Bob might correct me. They said it's upon delivery. Upon delivery. My next question, it's a great tool. If there's any technology that should change in 2 or 3 years, will you be able to adapt? Can you, do you have to order it now and you get it as is? It's as of today. You're comfortable with this? Okay, great. Thank you, Councillor Boudreau. So, with that, to the second part, all those in favor shall say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. Councillor Boudreau, I forgot something earlier. Is it possible for the fire hall project to make some panels to announce to people with the design of the project, to put it on the grounds? People can say we pay taxes on this. To put it on the lot, some construction panels where people can see what it will look like in a year and a half. Bob's guaranteed it in a certain month. October 2025. Okay. That's a good idea. It's certainly something that we can look into. You took note of that? Thank you. 5.3 contract award for the engineering of the extension of Brobridge Street 2025. Is Mr. CAO will explain this? I'll start, and Director of Municipal Operations will close it out. Obviously, this is in preparation of 2025. You will remember that when we approved 2024 budget, we set aside a budget for engineering costs for the year underway. We also put some money in to start to plan our 2025 projects. We obviously can't wait last minute, especially for a project of that scope, that is the extension of Bro Bridge. As you know, this year we're completing a section of the extension for Bro Bridge. up to Bellevue Street. But next year, the intention would be to complete it from Breaux Bridge to Ohio Road. It's a pretty big project. We're obviously working very closely with EXP on this project, and it's been a while. So according to staff, it would make sense to continue to work with the same company. It's a bit like a phase 2 of the same project. So the recommendation is to continue with the same engineering firm to make sure that it goes as well as possible. Bob, do you want to add a few details?
I could add a little bit about why it's important to do this. This is the summer before, so we have to plan for land purchases. There are a few of them that are necessary in order to do this extension. If you wait too long, it could become more complicated. So that's another reason to get on it right away. So it is a continuation, right? Essentially. Do you want to read it? Awarding the engineering contract for the extension of the Breaux Bridge Street 225 is be resolved to give this contract to EXP Services Incorporated at an amount $332,000 plus HST included. The funds come from the 1-305 engineering, project engineering. Proposed, moved and seconded by Councillor Emile O'Brien. Questions about the motion? We know what this is basically goes with this project. So, yes, Councillor Cormier. Question? Thank you, Your Honor. Are you comfortable with? You must be comfortable with because you're moving it, but $332,000 a single bid. I understand this is a street extension, but are you comfortable that you did get the best bid without having talked to any other consultants? We always compare from one project to another. Some projects, we use the services of certain consultants, and on other projects, others. So, and once you start a project with one consultant in particular, generally it's easier to carry on with that consultant until the end. And it's phase 1, phase 2. Otherwise, you change consultants, you change horses in midstream, and then all of a sudden there's a conflict where the two projects meet up, and who is to blame when things go wrong? It's always better or easier to do business with the same consultant on a single project. But it's always been a priority for the council to move this extension ahead as quickly as possible. EXP has been with us since the beginning of this project. We've done a lot of preliminary work with them on it. That's what I was going to add, says Bob. The preliminary work that they've done, even a year ago, they were talking to them about this project, and we were talking about basically hourly with them, defining concepts and so on. So they've really been involved in it for a long time. So I am certain that we're getting good value for money here. When you talk about the project, where the total estimated value of the project is, we're talking about a project where it is in line with the percentage of the total cost for similar projects. Thank you, Your Honor. I have done my due diligence, and therefore I hope that you have. It seems to me that you have done the job. Yeah, you don't change, basically the principle is that, the operative principle is that you don't change the contractors when you're in the middle of building a house, when you're building the second floor. Jean-Claude, will there be a sidewalk till Street? Yes, there will be a sidewalk on one side and a path on the other. Thank you. Good.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire.
Thank you. Now, thank you, Sylvain.
Temporairement affiché. J'ai juste une question.
I have a question that is somewhat technical. I'm visual, and I'm a little bit confused about one thing. If you we have the roundabout at Bellevue, and then you're heading towards Kent, going through Germaine, and then there's another roundabout before you come to Kent. Is the roundabout on the right is the same as the one that we see at the bottom left? Is that the same one? Do you see what I'm trying to say? The second half. Yes, it's the same. That one lines up with mini home, and then the other line is meant to eventually wind up reaching or meeting the Point Duchesne Road. Ah, okay, great, thank you. Was there any discussion? Has there been any discussion on having a roundabout on Ohio Street, where Bro Bridge intersects it? Because of the extra traffic that will occur with the development, there was the idea of having a roundabout there for that reason. That is one of the concepts that we assessed, but for the moment it is going to be a square intersection. But if there's anything to be done there, but if the lights and everything are simple, it's not entirely determined, but the roundabout will come afterward. But is the need really at Ohio, or is it where the second roundabout is being put? We did a study with EXP, and their recommendation was to put it there. And we looked at the other end, but they were less inclined to put a roundabout on Ohio. And at any rate, to go that far, that was the recommendation we received from them. That doesn't prevent us from doing other things. The project ends at Kent Road, right? We're not up to where the cursor is, but there will be work that will lead to that. Very good, thank you. So, since I don't see any other questions, all in favor, say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. Thank you. 5.4, a grant for an active transport project. Yes, I can talk about this, but although I will ask my colleague to continue, but it was a bit of a surprise from the last administration in 2022. It seems that there was a funding application to the federal government for assistance doing a study on active transportation for the town of Shediac. And with the departure of certain employees, that project got lost in the lost online somewhere between April and May last year. We received an email from the federal department, saying that there is a grant that we are eligible to obtain if we did some work in terms of active transportation. And you may recall that we had already approved funding in the 2024 budget for our transportation master plan, which includes a one component of active transportation. So we could certainly apply that funding to to this work. But in order to be eligible for the grant, we need a council resolution. We need a motion from council to go forward with that project. Judy, I don't know if you want to add anything about that. No? Okay, that's good. Well, okay then. Councillor Paul Boudreau, would you like to read it? First, press your button. Thank you, with pleasure. And good work. All right. It was whereas that there was a project has been submitted to improve active transportation for the town of Shediac, and a funding application was submitted to the department, the federal department, and $50,000 approved, and that we also received information indicating that we can do this, this project is eligible, and that it does appear to be feasible. Connect to the adjoining municipalities and look at different alternative possibilities such as bike paths, examine and develop standard design approaches, use optimization and the existing optimize the existing infrastructure, identify what is needed to build a sustainable urban active transportation system. 5, progressive implementation plan with cost estimates for improvements of the proposed infrastructure for the next 5 years. 6, look for and develop policies for traffic calming and control, and for promotion of active transportation. 7, prepare a final report for the town, including up-to-date mapping and design names. Be it resolved that the town of Shediac confirms that it meets all the requirements of this Canadian federal fund, and that the town clerk can make this application. So it's moved by Paul Boudreau, seconded. Any questions? Councillor Boudreau, a question? Connection of the adjacent municipalities. Is there anything moving on, connecting up Dieppe? Well, we got news from Dieppe. There is development there with Expansion Dieppe, which has been involved in the development of connections across certain properties. As to Capelet, the group is now evaluating a second option for going from Capelet to Shediac, because from the coast there were a lot of challenges to getting access there. And so it's at a preliminary stage as regards Capelet. Thank you. Any other questions? Fine. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Contrary minded say nay. Carried. Thank you very much. Point of information. Before we adjourn, since you're all here, the application came in today. Bob and his team had a meeting with the contractor who is going to do the work on Harbour Victoria, and they were asking for permission to begin a bit earlier in the morning. This project will be going on for 4 weeks. They would like to start at 6 a.m. instead of 7, as our and noise bylaw requires. At paragraph A of the decree, it says, or of the ordinance, it says that projects that are under the control of the municipality for urgent or essential needs can be exceptions to the act. So we don't necessarily need a motion from council, but since you're all here, I wanted to mention it to you. And if there's no objection, no major objection, then we could offer them the permission that they have requested. We have done it before, and we have done it by motion, but when you read the ordinance, when you see that when the municipality itself is doing the work, a motion is not required. But I did want to mention it since you're all gathered here today. So if there are no big objections, we can give them the green light to start at 6 a.m. And the 4 weeks, Bob, do we know when that period starts to run? It's going until around, it's basically starts 6 weeks before August 9th and goes until August 9th. Okay, so you were informed.
It's a question to the CAO. Will the residents be alerted that it's starting earlier? We can certainly do that. The meeting just happened today, as I said. We haven't had that chance to do that, but we can certainly send a notice to the nearby residents. I think it would be appreciated. We can do that. A nice courtesy. So in terms of the items on the agenda, we thank you. I thank you, especially for the expansion to the fire hall and the new truck. This is something that the fire department has been planning for a long time. The delivery of the truck will take a bit of time, though. We don't have any control over that. So, congratulations. Councillor Germain Galland proposes adjournment. Thank you.